What's good, Internet? My name is attackslug, and this is Dead Cells. Still in early access, but I wanted another excuse to play some more Dead Cells and to talk about some early access things. As always, full disclosure, this copy of the game provided by the publisher. I think Dead Cells is phenomenal. I think it is an amazing accomplishment, and it definitely gives you faith in the early access platforms. I've played my fair share of early access games on Steam in the past several years, and sometimes games just, you know, whether it be a studio, whether it be a, guy in a bedroom making a game, sometimes early access things just don't turn out the way that you would hope they would, or they just take forever. And I think what this game does, more than a lot of games that take forever, or, just end up getting abandoned or whatever else, is that the core mechanics here, as a rogue-lite, are solid. And more importantly, what they've released thus far, in this early stage of their early access, is fun to play. It is enjoyable, the mechanics are sound, the gameplay is solid, and I've been enjoying it a whole lot. I've put about 5 or 6 hours into it thus far, and it's just a joy to play. It is just so much fun. If you are not familiar with this game, with Dead Cells, it is a roguelite, but also kind of in the vein of a Castlevania or Metroid style, kind of deal. And it's generally mostly combat through melee, but you do have a bow and arrow. You can get guns and that kind of thing, but generally you're gonna be doing a lot of just slashes stuff, right? But you got your map here, and it does kind of play out in this map fashion, much like a metroidvania would be. So there is a bit of backtracking, not a lot of backtracking, but there is a bit. I got gold here I could spend on items that are either main or sub-weapons or amulets that give me different powers. So invisible after 5 seconds without attacking. But I think it's more important to get some more health. Early on, health is very, very important, because that first boss will definitely whoop you good. So I'm going to do that, grab some ice grenades, those are important, and do some of that. So yes, this game has been updated recently to add in the elements. Fire and electric and that kind of stuff can definitely impact the world and the enemies in it and that kind of thing. And I've played this game for a bit on some live streams, and I think it's generally an alright game to stream, but it's hard to kind of really get into exactly why the game is so good as you are sitting there and, answering questions on a live stream. So, it does follow a lot of other just very smart design decisions. I think most importantly that you can pause a run and then come back to it later, which I think a lot of roguelites could learn from. I know that perhaps some people see that as cheating, because generally in this genre, a run should take you about an hour-ish, if you've done it right, if you've designed your game right. You get about an hour, and I've seen there are complete playthroughs of the current build of this game is about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, or, something like that, which is fine. That's about what you would expect. But, if you get good and you can run through, you can do it even faster than that. But this is just, I think, the best case scenario of early access. Did for a while now. Thanks, bro. So here you go. I can backtrack now to where I haven't been to, which is up here, and over to the right of this map, and see what else, like this right here. The Nutcracker. I'm going to replace the Nutcracker. We're going to replace the bow. I'm just not a fan of the bow. So now I have a hammer. There are different traversal things. Where'd the music go? Hold on. The music just went. That's never happened to me before in this game. Where'd the music go? That's really weird. I didn't turn it off. I'm not sure that that's intentional. I've the game's still getting updated, so I've never actually seen that happen before, or heard, or not heard. Yeah, so you've got different options when you're going through these stages to go to different areas. and I think that there are, not that I think, but there are ones that are harder than other ones. So I'm going to head down here. So there's an area I haven't gotten to yet, so I can go down. But seriously, that's really weird. Hopefully it fixes itself in the next stage. Yes, it's still early access, so there will still be bugs. There will still be bugs. But in general, this game is very well polished for what it is in its current state. It is fun to play. That's the most important thing, is the mechanics are solid and enjoyable and fun to play. So what's in this chest? Thankfully, it was not enemies. We had now a grenade and an ice grenade, which is both of those can be used in combo to be very, very useful. But now it's time to peace out of this stage and head to the next stage in Dead Cells. So you head here to the Promenade of the Condemned, and in between stages, when you get your upgrades, is when you get to spend your cells that you've killed the enemies with to upgrade things in the shop here. And you've got a number of things to upgrade that you will find in the world. And I want to put some points into, well, I just got the Nutcracker. I don't have enough to actually do it, but you can't leave this room until you spend all of those cells in the game. So I can also just kind of sit here and heal up 100%, and then refill my health potions, much like a Dark Souls. There are things in common here with both a Metroidvania and a Dark Souls type game, but put into a rogue-lite context, if you will. So there is stuff that I have found. There are some secrets that I have found, and they are kind of around there in the world, as you would expect from this genre. And I've already gotten. There was a blueprint. So unlocking new weapons requires you to find blueprints in the world, or to be fast enough in the game to get them in these doors that close after a certain amount of time. Dodging is a big one. Obviously, there are shields. I'm not a fan of the shields. That's just me. That's just my own personal play style. Not a fan of the shields. And also, I'm out of ice grenade. I wanted to hit the I wanted to show off more ice grenade, but apparently this enemy's too fast for me to do that. So this update has had more enemies, or they've introduced new enemies, new areas. There is the darkness now, which is a new mechanic where you can't be in the darkness. I haven't actually gotten there yet, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. But again, in general, this is like, I could sit here and go, okay, I'll pay this money for this game right now, and say, okay, this game's done. But it's not done. But I feel like what they've sold you is already so compelling that this is early access done right. It's sure, it'll get polished, it'll get more, refined as they add more things to it. But as of right now, from the time that I've spent, this game is amazing, and that, I think, to me, is how you should do early access. I'm probably gonna fucking die here because this, not cool! Not cool. Nope. I'm definitely, so, certain scenarios, are unavoidable, and you really need to kind of use your brain to get around them, because that was just poor play on my part. Poor play on my part. So, head down, avoid these spikes, head all the way down, and more, yep. So you're going to kind of encounter a lot of the same enemies over the course of, these stages. There are some new ones in certain stages, and that makes things more difficult as you move along. They do hit harder as you complete successive stages, so the same enemy in a much later stage is going to hit harder than ones in an earlier stage, which is always, a thing to think about. That's challenging. But I'm just getting my butt whipped here. That's always fun. Nope. That's always fun. So it is still kind of a little harder to get my ideas here to formulate in my head as I'm trying to not die, because it is definitely follows that roguelite mentality of, it's solid and fun to play, but man, it is hard, and you need to really think carefully about your next move in these games, because they will mercilessly put on the hurt as they do. Another shop. Not enough gold to afford any of that. So I have to head just back up I went through all this stuff here and nope, and head back up because that's kind of my only choice in the matter. But yeah, I'm looking forward. Like a lot of times when you'll buy into early access, like the core of what the gameplay should be is there, but there seems to be things missing. And this is not that. This is definitely. I feel like I can play this and enjoy this in a lot of respects without having to be like, oh well, I'll come back to it in a year because maybe it'll get better in a year. But here it's just it works so well that I can just get into it now for a number of hours and really enjoy what I'm playing without going, oh well, I wish I did this or I wish I did that, which is the case with a lot of games in early access, just by default, really. Which I understand. You know, if you don't have a big team or a big budget, and you go, okay, well, the game's fun enough, and then you put it out in early access and hope that the sales are enough to mitigate, you know, to make enough back so that you can actually, you know, make the game what you want it to be. And that's not always a good experience for the end user, you know, for the players who buy your game. Or, you know, you're sitting there waiting months and months and months for updates to make the game more playable is not always a great experience for you know, what is considered to be early access. Whereas, this is definitely amazing. And if you haven't played it, I definitely recommend it, because they're just going to make it better. Like, unless they do something catastrophically stupid, they've established an amazing core of what the game can be, and then they can just build on that and make it even cooler and more engaging to play. Now, sometimes these have enemies in them, so you gotta be careful on whether or not you want to open up this chest. So that's grenade 3. We'll place grenade 2, and move on a little bit here in Dead Cells. I have heard they are definitely considering console versions of this game, so that could be, you know, like say Nintendo Switch would be a great move for this game to be able to have it. Oh crap! An elite enemy, elites, much like Bullet Club and Omega and what's his face, the Young Bucks. The elites will definitely mess you up. They're usually not worth fighting, to be honest, but sometimes you can. So yeah, you get stuff. Got an amulet. That's cool. So sometimes the elites have unlockables, and I still haven't unlocked. There's this thing to use the sarcophaguses, and I haven't got that one yet. I got the vine one pretty early on. So this door closed 7 minutes ago. You would have had to literally run all the way from that first stage, avoid any enemy to get there in time to get that door. So those usually have blueprints, but then so the trade-off is that by the time you get there, you're going to be underpowered from not getting enough extras and cells and whatnot to get those particular bits of beadness. So yeah, I've found the dodge roll to be my go-to way. You can get shields and you can use shields. I'm just not a big fan of the shields. Lots of secrets though in this area. So there's that. There's gonna be a lot of dodging here and hoping that I can, yep, make it freeze you. But yeah, spent a lot of time with this basic sword because other swords tend to be a bit more. They don't drop as often as I would like them to, but that's just kind of a personal preference in terms of how that stuff works. But here we go. Yep, just nothing here but me and these spikes. And head. Oh, there's the protector things. I'm not a fan. Like, I get why they exist, and I get why they're a interesting gameplay conceit, but as something that's I find annoying, they're just annoying, and they can just avoid. And you can just go, okay, those enemies, not interested, gonna run past them. But that gives you less cells in the long run, and that means less of a less upgrades for. But see here, I don't have this yet, and that would get me up into that room. I can't get there yet, so that's always tricky. Always tricky. And then that finishes that stage. So that's kind of the basic gameplay loop here in Dead Cells. And then I can, come here and spend these cells to upgrade what I was working on before, which was the Nutcracker. And then that gets a damage bonus for all subsequent runs if you find that item. And I have 18 cells left, so I've kind of avoided upgrading any of the shields, because I don't really care about the shields. I could definitely give myself more of a grenade at some point. And then you kind of just, you know, get your health. And then get your health here. And then you move on. But we're not going to move on today. I can sit here and go, you know what? I'm going to go back to the main menu. And it will save that run. I can resume that run from right here, which is, for a roguelite, is pretty freaking cool. So there you go. That's Dead Cells on Steam Early Access. A shining example of what Early Access should be on Steam. I'm attackslug. Thanks for watching. More videos every day. And I'll see you next time, right here on this channel. And I'm out.